Hi everyone and welcome back. Now, we just got back from designing and putting together a very quick prototype of a loader. But you may be asking yourself, well, how do I make this a little bit more complex? And you can do that pretty easily. I have a couple of prototypes over here, and they all vary in complexity. So I'm just going to name these so I remember what they are. And so you can easily see what they are as well. And let's actually take a look at all of our different uploaders. So I want you just to take a look at this. We have the completed uploader. And this is essentially the exact same thing that I have here. Now, the only difference is I'm going to have a completion pop-up. And the way I did that was pretty simple. Now, if we look at the details and the controls, we have like nothing here. And then we have the check that is over here on the side, and it is hidden. So we do have this check that is hidden. We see it's 0%, and it is smaller. It's 16 by 16. And then I have it growing over here to 32 by 32, and then back to 16 by 16, and then settling at 20. So we have that kind of bouncing effect. That's why we have so many screens. It's just to kind of handle this uploaded state where we kind of finalize, because what I have here as well is I have this dropping down to center itself right in the middle to show the completed state. So let's actually take a look at what that looks like. And you'll be able to see this as well. You should have these files. So we have the simple uploader. And that's the one we just did. This is the new one. So something a little bit more complex. All we're adding in this section is, we're adding that we've uploaded 3 files and we have a check mark. So that's just to kind of show that, hey, you have finalized your interaction here. You're done here. You've uploaded whatever you need to upload. Let's give you some user feedback. Essentially, let's give you some feedback, and that you can go off and do whatever else you need to do, whether that's uploading new files and whatnot. Now let's take a look at something a little bit more complex. Now, remember when I talked about some of these controls I had? You can do the same thing here. You can open up these controls. I have a counter, I have a pause, and I have a close button. And then I have them scaling to 9%, 10%, 19, 20, 29, 30, 39, 40. And you may be asking, well, why are you breaking it up between numbers? And that's because the way I've placed the numbers. So let's go into some of these details, because this is where it gets pretty complex. And it would take me a very long time to go through every little thing. So I have a frame here set up called counter. And inside the frame, I have a percentage layer. I have a tens layer and a ones layer. You may be thinking, why do you have a tens layer and a ones layer? So our ones layer will handle everything from 1 to 9, or the first number. Then we have our tens layer right after that. So let's take a look. We still have we're still in the ones over here. So all it's doing is it's basically using this type of position to make a counter effect. So I have that scaled up like 10 times, because if we think about, we have to go all the way to 100. So let me actually pull that layer out so you can take a look at it. I have a 1 to 9, 1 to 0 actually, because if we get to like 70 or 80, we need to be able to show the 0 at the end in the ones place. So we have 1 to 0, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have it 9 times. So we have that repeated. And this is where these types of smart animations get really complex. And, I would say borderlining, that they take a long time. So here we go. We have the tens place as well. So we only do it once. So we'll do 10% and we'll do 20% and we'll switch it only when we get to the next section. So we have 10%, we're going to 19, and from here we'll make the quick switch to 20%. And you can see that in the prototype as well. So from 0 to 9 in this kind of movement, we have it set to 500 milliseconds. But from here, it's going to be much more quicker. It's going to be a very quick transition. It's going to be just 1 millisecond transition. So keeping it very simple, and you'll see it once again, 500 milliseconds, and then you'll see 29 to 30 will be 1 millisecond. So keeping that really quick when it comes to switching over. And as we are doing this, I'm also thinking about the actual file loader. So I have everything as linear. The easing is linear because it is a file loader. So it's totally fine for an application like this. But I need to also think about what is the width of both the background and the loader. So I was taking the full width of this container and dividing it by the percentage. So if I'm at 40%, I will know that my width for the background is 116 pixels. Same thing, if I'm at 50%, it's half, so it's 145 pixels or around there. So just keeping an understanding of the math that you need to do when doing something like this. Unfortunately, Figma doesn't have anything for counters, so it's a very manual process, and you'll see how long we go with something like this. And then we do the finalization where we kind of just pop it with uploaded 3 files, and we have the little check mark at the very end. So let's take a look at how this looks when it is complete, because it looks actually really beautiful. But it did take a while, so we kind of have that. Boom. So it actually looks like it is loading up. Really great. And the only downfall is that aside from it looking beautiful, you are going to have to go through the process of creating all those different screens and breaking it out like that, because it unfortunately does take a lot of time. Figma doesn't have anything in relation to value changes specifically, so you're going to need to manually do that. Totally up to you if you want to do it. It does add a nice little bit of extra touch, but something I would totally do on the side to showcase like a small interaction or micro interaction for a card, not necessarily like a whole screen, because that would get pretty out of hand quickly. So that is how you can make this uploader a little bit more complex. Totally up to you if you want to do it. And if you want to kind of apply these techniques to something else in relation to some sort of value change you want to see, or a completion micro interaction, there's ways to do that. You can pop confetti in there if you want to even go the extra mile. It is up to you, and I will teach you how to do that as well. This is how you create 3 different versions of a file uploader.